Hello, everybody. Welcome to what will be ostensibly a very short entry into the possible nerd Chairshot video type thingy that we're thinking about doing. Bryant is driving. I am obviously not. And we are going to run down the weekend as we had it. First, before we get to the thing that everybody will be interested in, which is the House of Hardcore show that we went to, I'm going to say I have a grumpy face on, and this man does not. He is a giant Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and I am a Washington Redskins fan, and we just went to the game. On the way back from Philadelphia to Richmond, Virginia, we stopped in D.C. and watched the Redskins Buccaneers game, and it was awesome. A very one-sided affair. It was terrible. It was awful. It was bad for me. It was great for him. He fucking loved it. Upside was we did get to artificially upgrade our seats by just moving down to the empty ones, of which there were quite a few. Got great seats at the end to watch the Redskins, as my friend Kirk put it, completely shit the bed.
The whole fourth quarter.
The whole fourth quarter. We were, because the game was over by the end of the third quarter. It was really that bad. Anyway, moving on to more interesting things, to guys like Zavala and Dino and all those people that are on the West Coast that could give a shit about either of those two teams. Fuck you guys. House Hardcore show last night was fucking awesome. It really, really was. Thank you to Monique for having us out and enjoying the weekend with us. It was
a hell of a lot of fun.
It was a hell of a lot of fun. I struggle to think of a more viscerally fun experience at a wrestling show I've ever had. I mean, there's moments that were great for me for other shows, but I don't think I've ever been to a show that from start to finish was hit all the right notes quite like that show did, and part of it was being in Philly at the old ECW arena. That was badass.
I would agree. The surprises are the thing that caught me. We're going to go into that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, overall, I mean, it was my first time. I don't go to too many shows, wrestling shows. So this is one. I can't speak for Chris's
Sports Center update.
Yeah, it was about the Buccaneers. It was I can't say for his extensive knowledge in regards to wrestling shows, but I've been only to maybe a handful. But this is the most fun I've ever been to. The crowd was hype and amped and vulgar in a very fun way, which made it even more awesome. Even little kids were saying the F words.
It was quite awesome to see. Like, it was an 8-year-old kid right in front of us.
Yep.
8-year-old kid chanting "Shut the fuck up."
Yep.
That. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. It was pretty awesome. Let's see the surprises of the night. I mean, they started the show correctly. I don't know where the pay-per-view starts. I'm assuming that the pay-per-view started with the first match, which would have been Danny Doring and Stevie Richards, which was a great opener. It was two old school ECW originals having a kind of a paint by numbers match, but it made the fans happy. Then we had what was the second match? Do you remember?
I don't really remember the second match. I can't really tell.
I think I know. We'll skip ahead to the cool thing. Fairly early in the card, there was a Kurt Hawkins against Christian York match, which was a very good match. Christian York went over. We noticed something about the show. It was an all babyface show with the exception of one match, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Kurt Hawkins faced Christian York. Christian York went over, and then after the match, Kurt Hawkins got on the mic and basically laid out an open challenge for anybody in the back to come out. And then one of the coolest surprises I've ever seen at a wrestling show, certainly live, happened right after that.
Yes. No, Ricardo. Ricardo came out first.
Right.
And didn't I was just hyped to see him, and Chris noticed the tuxedo, and I wasn't really paying attention to that. I noticed, I was just excited, and then when he said, "I haven't done this in a while, let me go ahead and do it," and he did his spiel in regards to announcing a certain someone, then all hell broke loose.
Yes, it did.
And you can continue because I got to keep my eyes on the
Yo, that's fine. This is gonna be mostly me.
Okay, it's gonna be mostly you.
I'm an awful human being.
We almost got hit by a bus.
We almost got hit by a bus.
Yes.
So this could have been the last Nerd Chairshot
Yes.
ever. No, and by the way, if you notice that my voice sounds weird and gravelly, it's because of mostly this moment that we're talking about now. Ricardo came out and announced essentially Alberto Del Rio, and Del Rio came out and the place absolutely went bananas for him. And Del Rio looked like he was really enjoying himself, having a lot of fun. Cut a little promo about being in the ECW arena and about leaving the WWE. Nothing disparaging, just that, you know, he's glad to be in a place where it is, as he put it, motherfucking wrestling.
The crowd disparaged.
The crowd did a lot of disparaging. But
Mainly Vince.
yeah, and then he locked on the cross arm breaker, I'm assuming.
Yes.
On Kurt Hawkins and sent everybody home happy for the 4th or 5th match on the card. It was crazy. Some really good action. Eddie Kingston had a great match with Eddie Edwards on the card. If you get a chance to watch the pay-per-view, I suggest it. It was the matches themselves were spot on. They're very, very good in-ring work. Nothing spectacular as far as in-ring stuff, but all very good wrestling. They didn't rely on the hardcore stuff the way that I kind of expected them to. Both of us noticed that there was no blood on the show at all, which shocked me, to be perfectly honest. Not that it needed it. Again, we didn't really notice until, I guess it was after the Tommy Dreamer match, that we expected there probably would be a bloodbath, that there was no blood. I think maybe perhaps the plan had been for a little bit of a bloodbath with Ethan Carter, but when he wasn't able to make it, they kind of cut back on that a little bit. The second big surprise of the night, I would guess, would probably be the Dudleys.
When the one that I called?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Dudleys.
Bryant.
Called all of the Dudley. Well,
You did. No, that's okay. We can talk about it.
Because I before we got to Philly, I said when we found out the EC3 wasn't going to be there, I thought it would be hilarious if just Spike was there in his place, because we assumed that Bubba was going to be there.
Right. Yeah, especially from the way that he was tweeting and stuff like that. I had called Bubba being the replacement for EC3.
Right. So
which I was wrong.
So I assumed that, I was just making a joke that Spike would be there. But who was in the ring?
It was
Davey Boy's son.
Davey Boy's son, Davey Boy Smith Jr. apparently is what he's going by now instead of Harry Smith. And
I forgot the other guy.
Trent Beretta?
I think.
One of the other guys that WWE had and never used, and now he's off doing his own thing.
They came down to the ring and they instantly cut a promo, and I was like, and I turned to Chris and I was like, the Dudleys.
Yep.
They're coming. And he said, and when he said, we're the best tag team around, no one can beat us. And Chris was like, yep, that's who's coming.
Yep, that's who's coming.
And they played.
Sure enough.
There was no music.
Nope.
It was cold. It was a cold entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And they just walked out. And then everyone just flipped their shit.
Heard that roar of the audience. They were so excited to see Bubba and Devon there. And, of course, Bubba and Devon kicked their ass.
Yes.
As well they should. Then I guess we'll go ahead and skip to the Tommy Dreamer match.
Yes.
Good wrestling throughout. There was the 6-man match.
Yes, the 6-man. I forgot.
I have no idea who was in the match. I know that Monique and Monet were valets for the match.
Yes.
But I can't tell you the names of the guys that were in the match outside of Nunzio.
My favorite is still...
No, not Nunzio. Little Guido.
Yeah, Little Guido. I don't know.
Little Guido.
Still, my favorite is Big Boss Man Jr.
Yeah, dude. There's FBI. That was their name, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't
their name.
That was FBI. Was the guy that the Guido from the...
Oh yeah.
So, but I forgot what. But they did have it cool how they get patted down by the ref.
Right. Yeah. They were this. They were doing an undercover cop tag team, and it was one dude who's kind of heavy guy, looks like Big Boss Man, and then another smaller dude that has the '80s cop mustache, and when they get patted down by the referee, they do the hands behind the head on your knees against the ropes deal, which I totally would love to steal. That was fantastic. I love that. But then they went out there, and that match tore the house down. Absolutely tore the house down. They had a referee who I'm assuming is either a trainee at House of Hardcore at their training center, or is an indie worker himself as a wrestler, but he is super athletic. He whipped out a couple like moonsaults and stuff like that. He got involved in the match as a wrestler, even as a partial referee. But it was a spot fest, sure, but it was a fun spot fest, and it absolutely blew away the audience. I don't think anybody was expecting that.
Nope.
And I know Vic Delicious was on the heel team, but it was really, really, really good, and I look forward to seeing those guys. I'm gonna go look them up when I get home and see if I can find those guys and what other things that they've done, because I'm assuming they're working somewhere, because they're too damn good not to. But that match was, in my opinion, that was the match of the night, because it was so surprisingly good, and it to me made stars out of all of them. But the semi-main was supposed to be Tommy Dreamer and Ethan Carter III, and as was announced the night before the show. I think it was the night before the show?
No, that Friday.
The Friday before.
So it was the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Friday.
It was announced on Friday. Ethan Carter wasn't going to be able to make it, and there was speculation as to who was going to take his place. Well, Dreamer came out first, and then there was just kind of silence, and then out comes Bobby Roode, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, which was a damn good replacement. If you're gonna replace anybody from TNA, replacing them with your World Heavyweight Champion's a pretty good replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a fairly tame match for an Extreme Rules match. Not a whole lot of big spots, but considering who was in the ring, that's not that surprising, I guess. But a very good match. It had it was the ECW main event style match with a bunch of run-ins, a bunch of surprises, tons of swerves, and a lot of fun to take your mind off the fact that they weren't really doing a whole lot of wrestling. The aforementioned Spike Dudley made an appearance in that match, as did Velvet Sky, and there was one other, wasn't there?
No.
Well, Beulah was there, but the Sandman. And C.W. Anderson.
Yes.
C.W. Anderson came in and wiped out a couple people, and then Sandman came out, and then I think C.W. wiped out Sandman too.
Yes, because he messed up the whole...
And then Spike wiped out C.W. Anderson. The whole beer thing. We probably was very disappointed that we got most of the classic Sandman entrance, but we didn't get the beer bashing on the head part of it, because C.W. Anderson kicked the beer out of Sandman's hand.
Jerk.
Jackass. Then, and of course, Dreamer was the only babyface not to go over on the evening, as that was telegraphed when Bobby Roode said he would put the TNA World title on the line. And we had already noticed that no babyfaces had lost. We were like, oh, well, then this is where the babyfaces lose. The next match is the one everybody's going to talk about. Very, very good match. To me, personally, the six-man was my match of the night, just because I didn't expect any of that. But for most people, I would assume the main event was the match of the night. It was the Young Bucks against the Hardys. And the crowd was very, very interesting.
60-40.
It was 60-40 for the Bucs, and I don't think anybody backstage really kind of anticipated that. But the Bucs came out. I'm gonna let Bryant tell you about that.
The Bucs came out to Hanson Mbop. Think of Hanson Mbop being played over at ECW Arena, and people standing and cheering Mbop. That's all I need to say.
It was different.
Very different. Very strange.
Yeah, we were taken aback, but we knew who was coming because it obviously wasn't the Hardys coming out to that. So when the Bucs got out there, this was my first time seeing the Bucs live. I'm assuming it was the first time for you seeing the Bucs live as well. They are really good. I said to Monique later in the night that the highest compliment I can pay them, and this is not a slight. That's the windshield wipers. It's starting to rain. It's not a slight on the person that it sounds like it's a slight on, but they remind me a lot of the Rockers without a Marty Jannetty. They're kind of both the Shawn Michaels. Very, very solid in the ring. They're maybe not quite as charismatic, but they're very charismatic. It's kind of hard to be as charismatic as Shawn Michaels. But they're both very, very, very good. They've aged tremendously since the last time I saw them, which was in TNA. They're really, really good in the ring. And the crowd turned them babyface. They went into the match obviously playing heel to the Hardys, who were obviously playing babyface. And over the course of about, I'd say, 10 minutes, somewhere along the line, Matt Hardy figured out that they were heels. And Matt Hardy is a natural heel. So he turned it up a notch, and they started healing it up. And once they did, the match just clicked, and it was magic. Once the Hardys stopped trying to get babyface cheers, there was just no going back at that point, and they really went balls to the wall. No huge table spots or anything like that. Just a wrestling match. And it's amazing what you can do with a simple, good wrestling match with two great tag teams with four really talented guys.
Agreed. I'm trying to drive, so I can't.
This motherfucker, his team won, and he got all giddy and happy. And now I don't talk.
I gotta drive, man. It's raining. People are coming over and crazy. You want to die? I don't want to die. I like to live. Oh, you're gonna try to flash the screen so they can see?
I want them to see.
Oh,
I want them to see what you're scared of.
You want them to see death coming?
Yeah, actually, I do.
Well, that's cruel.
It is. It's weird.
It's cruel and unusual punishment.
Anyway, so yeah, the Bucs went over, didn't they?
Yes, the Bucs.
Yeah.
Yes, the Bucs won. Then they had
because it was a great spot. I'm not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it, but the last spot of the match was fantastic. And then what happened after that?
After that, the Hardys and the Young Bucks were going to shake hands, and what ended up happening was they tried to swerve. The Hardys tried to swerve them, and they ended up getting, I guess, super kicked.
Yeah.
They got super kicked, and then after that, the Dudleys came out and actually took out the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what else. Do you remember what happened after that?
Well, I know right after that, the Dudleys came out and then 3D'd them both, which I guess was a pre-planned spot from when the Young Bucks were supposed to be the heels. But then the Dudleys got on the mic and put them over. I think they set up something by saying, there's one thing that we can't stand here is disrespect. But that they respect the Young Bucks. It was kind of a weird speech thing. But then they got on the mic and for a long time talked. They called out Tommy Dreamer. They called out a bunch of people. and then they had a beer bash in the ring. Which, of course, when you have a beer bash, you have to have Sandman. So Sandman got another entrance. But this time, he didn't really drink. Sandman was taking selfies. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Sandman's wandering around with a phone, taking selfies with all the people in the ring, and not drinking. So it was a little bit of a strange a moment. But great match, cool ending. The audience stuck around for the whole hug and beer bash ending. Everybody stuck around. And Dreamer announced that, obviously they did, I think, 4 shows this year.
Yes.
Like he said. Next year he's going to try to jump it to 8. 6, maybe 8 shows. And he said, now that we've done pay-per-view, I guess the next step is television. And I, for one, I'm always a big proponent of more wrestling is always good wrestling. As long as it's not one company oversaturating their own product, you can have as many different wrestling programs as you can get on television. And it's always good. I will always be happy with that. But I think that if House of Hardcore got on television somewhere, they might have a shot because, as Bubba Ray said, you want different. This is different. You're not gonna see stuff like what they were doing at House of Hardcore on TNA or in the WWE. It's just not how they roll. But yeah, overall, great show.
Overall, it was a really good show.
Great show. So now that this is clocked in at 20 minutes, which is about, I think, a fourth of our normal Nerd Chair Shots, and because of the sunlight going away and us suddenly descending into darkness, we're going to go ahead and cut it short and sign off here. And hopefully I'll have some voice when I get home. But stay cool. We're going to head home. I'm going to post this on Facebook, hopefully, while we're driving. And we'll see you guys next time we decide to do something weird like this. Remember, Dave needs tickets.
Bucks!
R.I.P. Danny T.